Great to have you on Business Glide, your go-to point on matters, public policy analysis, business and economics at large. I'm Richard Mwenja. Welcome on board. Today, I have our very own economist here at Nairobi Review, Professor Herman Manyora. Prof, greetings.
Greetings to you.
How is Easter taking you?
Well, so.
So good. So far, so good.
So far, so good. Homa kidogo hapa na pale.
All right.
Najua Mwafrika homa ni kitu kidogo lakini naona flu inaua sasa.
All right, we need to be in high caution out here. All right, Prof, let's talk about our public debt as a country. This is a conversation that is so dear to your heart. Oftentimes you've said Kenya is headed to the dogs. Should we not tame our public debt?
Yes.
So a few days ago, former Budget and Appropriations Committee Chairperson Ndindi Nyoro has warned that probably the Kenya is in a dire situation. If we don't take caution, our now 11 trillion public debt could be in default. So Kenyans wonder, how should they take in this news from Ndindi Nyoro? Should we be afraid?
No, well, we are past being afraid. Yeah.
Where are we at?
We are in a worse state than being afraid. Things are bad. Yeah.
So we're talking about 11 trillion in terms of public debt.
Yes.
Oftentimes you've argued that even when we borrow, it is not for development expenditure, it is for recurrent expenditure.
Yes.
Why has it taken the government too much time for this to sink in, that we should borrow for
But
development?
the government is continue to borrow.
Yeah.
Ruto has borrowed more than Uhuru borrowed in the same time. And they are continuing. Here they want to go to China for more. Pesa ya deni ni kama pesa ya shamba. Ukianza kuuza shamba, you can't stop.
There's no going back?
No. Deni ni hivyo. Once you get into Shylock, you are perpetually in Shylock. Ask workers in this country, teachers and the rest. Those who are on SACCO loans, just before it is over, we used to work with forms to get signatures. Kabla umaliza ile. Signature inakuwa tayari just before you clear the one you have. These days kuna vitu ikaanza ikakuta sijui ilikuwa inaitwa refinancing, siku hizi inaitwa top up, sijui nini forsa. My friend, deni ni deni. Unless a country breaks with the debts, it will never go anywhere.
It will never go anywhere?
Yeah, especially third world countries. You know, other countries is like a sport.
In what sense?
Is a capitalist sport. Ni kama ngoma tu ya kucheza. America inakopa. It's not that they need that money. Yani it's a game they are playing. It's a capitalist game. Now when you enter there, for you is a matter of life and death, it's survival. Many of the African countries are entering into a phase of slavery. When the debtors come calling, you are going to see, and it's already happening, African countries and other third world countries giving up their ports and harbors, rail lines, airports, and we are going to enter just a new phase of colonialism. Yeah.
Now, for the National Treasury and Planning CS John Mbadi, going forth, Kenyans want a sense of hope from him. But do you think Mbadi has what it takes to really contain the situation so that even our public debt doesn't now spiral over the 11 trillion mark where it is at now?
Mbadi is an expert, yes, an expert in jokes.
Come on, Prof.
Yeah, Mbadi is an expert in jokes. Like if he tells us, if you steal, don't take it outside. Iba lakini, he's a joker.
Back here.
Mbadi is exemplification of a joke taken too far in government. These are jokers. This you are talking of hope. How can Mbadi create hope for anybody?
Not even by having lieutenants like Chris Kipto beneath him at the Treasury? Experts?
They cannot create any hope for anybody. These are useless fellows. They can't. But you cannot blame them. It is a system they are operating in. And they're surrounded by economists like you, who are basically World Bank house girls and house boys.
Really?
Yeah, you cannot lift Africa out of the mess, economic mess it is in, using the thinking of the same people who are oppressing Africa. You are typical economist like India and Richard Mwenja. I've been given a mindset by the World Bank. They have attended classrooms constructed by the World Bank, taught by professors, given thinking by the World Bank. How can they redeem Africa? how can they redeem Africa? It is in the interest of those countries for Africa to remain poor perpetually, for them to exploit and grow their economies. How can they give you the prescription then to improve your country? Is it possible?
Not quite.
So you can see, when I call you people house boys and house girls, because you cannot come up with anything that can lift Africa out of the mess created by the same people who have trained you. You have been trained by people to look at the world in a certain way. I keep giving this example that was given by David Ndii. He said, as Uhuru was leaving power, there was a deficit of 100 billion or something like that. You can put in dollars if you wish. And they had to do something about that. So they had to borrow. You see that thinking? That a deficit must be filled through borrowing.
Budget deficit.
Sasa we ni ng'ombe aina gani? We si binadamu, we ni ng'ombe. Kwamba kwa jikoni leo hakuna sausage, watoto wakule. Hakuna nini?
Sausage.
Na toaster ile ya kuchoma toast imeharibika. Sasa maisha itakwama mpaka uende ukope pesa. You see, the mindset of an economy is trained by the World Bank. Because there's a deficit of 100 billion, then Kenya must go and borrow. He doesn't shake his head and say, by the way, hii 100 billion ilikuwa ya nini? Sausage kwa nyumba mpaka uende ukope. Watoto wasipokula sausage watakufa siku hiyo. Hiyo toaster usipoifix, your house will collapse. That's the thinking of the World Bank. That he has infused in you people who are calling yourself economists. And therefore you must go and borrow. Create a hole to fill another hole.
Let's talk solutions here, Prof. Now.
Yes.
Oftentimes you've argued that even when it comes to addressing our public debt,
yes,
we can tap into our potential, that is our resource endowment as a country,
yes,
and fill such loopholes.
Yes.
So when it comes to building this self-reliance as a nation, why do we still drag our feet, even with devolved units of government coming to fore?
The same training you have received as economists and other scholars, I call them scholars. You have been told the only way Kenya can do anything is to tax Kenyans. And when the tax is not enough, you go and borrow.
Vicious cycle.
They have taken a blanket and put here. You can't see that when God made this country called Kenya, he put resources here for you, which you can use instead of taxing Kenyans and instead of borrowing. Have you seen any government from 1963? You know, you are not there, but you must have known through reading.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any government saying we shall get even 2 shillings for our budget from anything other than taxes and borrowing? World Bank thinking. Sasa mtu ameingiza kasumba kwa kichwa yako. That hii Kenya haiwezi fanya chochote bila kutoza ushuru na kukopa madeni. Lakini kuna madini hapa, chini hapa Mungu aliweka. Sema hii ni yenyu nyinyi wa Kenya. Hii. Kuna mafuta hapa Mungu aliowekea. Kuna hizi miti forest kubwa, kuna wanyama wanakimbia. Mzungu anakuambia wewe ng'ombe, pembe ya ndovu ikipatikana mchome. Badala kukuambia ndovu ni mnyama na ana maisha na uhai na anakufa. Wakati akikufa hizo pembe zake ni kipawa zawadi Mungu alikupa wewe, unaweza kuitumia. Na wakati mwingine ndovu wanaweza hata kuwa wengi mpaka wanasayansi wakakuambia wewe lazima uzipunguze. Lakini mzungu anakuja na kuambia sasa hii ndovu pembe yake choma. Unaona president anachoma ndovu. Yaani Mwafrika ni mtu mjinga wa mwisho. Tusipowacha huo ujinga, we will never go anywhere. Kenya is supposed to make furniture using ivory.
Using ivory?
Which only a multi-billionaire, a dollar billionaire can buy in the world. Ukienda kwa nchi ya billionaire fulani California, anakuambia this chair I bought in Kenya. At how much? $5 million. Hii kiti nimekalia. Imetengenezwa na ivory na live skin like leopard. The same mzungu lying to you. Don't you see these fur coats, mitumba?
Yeah.
They use the resources God gave them. Up to now, they are still exploiting some of those resources in the same manner I'm talking about. Lakini ukikuja kwa yeye mjinga, wanakuambia hii dhahabu iko hapo, achana naye. Do we know how much in mineral resources we have in our national parks, in our game reserves, in our conservancies owned by wazungu, which we don't even step in? Mwafrika akipatikana anapigwa risasi. Msamburu ng'ombe imeingia pale, anaifuata na anarushwa risasi. Kumbe humu ndani kuna madini Mungu alikupatia. That is the problem with this country. That is the problem with Africa. That is the problem with third world countries. We do not have people with the capacity to think and ask themselves, beyond taxation and the loans, how else can we get resources? Let me even show you how stupid we are.
Sure.
Kenya has, and I don't want to ask you because you may parade your ignorance. Kenya has a huge domestic debt. Domestic debt inatoka wapi? Tunakopa kwa wazungu ama ni kwa Kenya? Sini hapa? Borrowed from banks.
Commercial banks.
Commercial bank. Huge debt. Hiyo pesa nani anakopesa? Hiyo pesa serikali inakopa kwa bank. Hiyo bank wanatoa wapi hizo pesa? Wanatoa wapi? Banki imekopesa Kenya matrilioni ya pesa. Saa hii tuko na deni ya mabanks and other institutions. So-called domestic debt running in trillions. Am I right?
True.
Those banks, hiyo pesa wanatoa wapi? Ile wanakopesa serikali.
Deposits from Kenya.
Sini wa Kenya wameweka ndani?
Yeah.
Hata sio wa Kenya, sio mimi na wewe, ni serikali. Hizo pesa benki inakopesha serikali, zimewekwa ndani na serikali. Shule zinaweka, si shule ni serikali. Shule zinaweka pesa kwa benki ama namna gani?
Sure.
Universities zinaweka pesa kwa benki. Parastatals zinaweka pesa kwa benki ama ni uongo?
True.
Sasa mnaweka pesa kwa benki, tena mnarudi mnakopa. And you want to tell me we have economists in this country?
Finally, Prof, before you question the credibility of our economists as a country,
yes,
does it appear to you as a joke that even despite heavy borrowing as a country, we are still dependent on donor reliance, on donors to fund some of the state projects?
The moment you allow reliance to set in, you never manage anything. Because it means even the things you could do yourself, you can't do.
USAID must be there.
Yeah, that's how you think. And you have been made to think so. Because dependence must be your number one thing. The people who want to exploit you want to ensure you are perpetually dependent on them. It's like drugs. Children who go to India and other countries to study, I don't know whether that has changed, Australia and everywhere. First of all, there are drug peddlers in those countries. They make sure your children who go there are hooked on drugs. They must first get hooked to become dependent on drugs. Then fisi yote unatumwa hao ndio watakuwa kikula. That's how dependence works. So long as there's somebody benefiting from your dependence, they will do everything to make sure you remain dependent. If it is not a loan, it is grants. If it's unconditional, conditional grants, it's what support. They will create all those. But the question, again, you economist, the question you need to ask yourself, hiyo pesa wanatupatia ni pesa ngapi? Si watu wanalia saa hii Trump ametoa pesa.
True.
Hiyo pesa Trump amekata in the public health sector ni pesa kidogo kuliko ile pesa nanunua mandazi State House na maua, mandazi na maua.
We can afford.
Hatujaongea ile mapasta wanapewa wakitembea kwa brown envelope, hapana. Tunaongea tu mandazi na maua. Budget, hospitality budget ya State House is enough to offset the money the foundations have been denied by Trump. That shows you dependence is artificially created to make you depend on other people for the purpose of them exploiting you. I know you are not taught this in class. So the only book I can refer to you is Lords of Poverty. Go and read it.
Lords of Poverty.
Poverty, yeah.
There you have it from Professor Herman Manyora discussing the public debt situation in this country. Time now for a fan of the week. It is none other than this economist working with Nyandarua County, Benson Onyoike.
Benson, I will allow you to be an economist, Benson, because you have joined a serious family. As a member of the family, we can allow you to be an economist. Thank you very much, Benson.
All right, until you get to do this again on Business Glide, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Up next on your screen is the Business Glide African Proverb of the Day.